Hey folks, good to see you again. As you may know, recently I got my hands on brand new Logitech RS50 bundle. Unboxing it was a lot of fun, but when I opened the box I realized something important. It only comes with the wheel, no pedals. And here comes the problem. How can you properly test a racing wheel without pedals? By the way, if you want to check out the unboxing, there's a link in the description below. So, how do you test a racing wheel without pedals? Well, there are a few options. You can map two buttons on the wheel, L2 or R2 for example, but since they are not analog, it's always a full throttle or full brake, not the great, right? Second, you can use analog buttons on PlayStation or Xbox controller, but that means holding the control in one hand and the wheel in the another. Definitely not practical. You can buy the official RS pedals for around 150 euro or even Pro pedals for about 390 euros. Or if you already own a G923 like me, you can buy the racing adapter for 45 euros to connect your old pedals to the new base. Since I only have this RS50 bundle on a loan for testing, I didn't want to spend money on new pedals or an adapter, so I came up with another idea. What if I just build my own pedals and connect them directly to the analog triggers on the controller? Alright, so this is my workbench today, full of parts, springs, wood and brackets. The plan is to build do-it-yourself pedals. At first, I thought about making a proper damper system. You know, a tube within a tube design with a spring inside, like a real shock absorbers. But then I realized that might take forever. So instead, I decided to go for a much simpler solution, something quick, cheap and good enough to test the RS50. First, I sketched out the idea. When I press down on pedals, a little rod pushes on the analog trigger. For parts, I used the wooden sled I had lying around. I cut it on half and some spring I saved from an old washing machine and leftover brackets from an old air conditioner mount. Okay, to put this little rod in a drilled hole, which will then push the analog button on the controller. Let's check both controllers if they have buttons approximately on the same distance. Great, that way I could use the pedals for both Xbox and PlayStation. These are the holes which will control the rod and keep them on the right distance. And I will add some plastic cap on the rod so it wouldn't damage the triggers. Once everything was assembled, I wrapped the board in some fabric to avoid scratches on the controller. And mounted the controller securely with some promotional shoelaces I found in a drawer. They're way too shiny to wear on my shoes, but they work perfectly here. It's definitely not the prettiest do-it-yourself project, but the important thing is it works. And I can't wait to test it in a real racing session. In my next video, I will be comparing the G923 versus RS50 bundle on the same track with the same settings. That's going to be a really fun test, so make sure to check it out. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.